What's up, Dream Builder? Are you someone who's interested in creating a life by your design through all things real estate? Well, I can assure you, you are in the right place. Join me, your host, Casanova Brooks. I'm an award-winning real estate agent and investor as we uncover the top tips, strategies, and the mindset of the top real estate entrepreneurs across the world. Stay locked in because we're about to go on a journey that will change your life. What's up, Dream Builder? We are back again, and we have an episode today that I'm telling you, we're going to rock your world with this thing. So if you are somebody who you've been in real estate for a while, but you're looking for that spark, right? Or if you're somebody who you're aspiring to get into real estate, but we all know a lot of the times the reason why we get into real estate is because we see the luxury side of things. Yeah. We see $1 million listings, we see the TV shows, and we're saying, oh man, I want to be able to deal with wealthy clients, right? The affluent. I want to be able to create a life by my design. I want to be able to figure it out no matter what comes to my path, because I know if there's a will, there's a way. Then this episode is going to be for you. We have none other than my sister, Miss Jane Bond, on the show. Jane, you want to go ahead and say what's up to Dream Nation?
What's up, Dream Nation? I am so honored to be here with Mr. Casanova. I love the last name. It's an honor. It's an honor that you even reached out to me and said, please come on to the show. Trust me on that. It's not.
Yes, it's an honor to have you here. Now, before we get started, everybody wants to know, because I was the same thing I was wondering. I couldn't wait to ask. And I was going to. So it is your real name, Jane Bond.
My real birth name, yes. Everyone asks that. You know, it's so funny. When I was a flight attendant, and my first route was England. So I would go to London all the time. And I remember going through customs and I would think, oh God, they're going to stop me every single time I come through here, either passport or just my name, because at that time, I'm not going to tell you the year, but it was like 90s. And I would go through and we would have our jackets on and you would open your jacket because your ID would be there. And I would just open my jacket and I would just go through and go, hi, it's me, Jane Bond. And they would go, no, go over there. And I would go, oh God, because it's not a name that you hear often.
Right.
It is kind of common because when I look up Jane Bonds, there's quite a few of us. But I would get stopped all the time, and my passport was stolen once. And every time I would go through customs, no matter where I was in the world, I would be detained because they just didn't believe it. And here it is, you know, I'm 6 feet tall, black, big hair. And when I cut it, it's bigger. And they just didn't believe it.
Right.
You're traveling around the world and everybody around the world knows James Bond. And then you get the caveat to that. Are you related? And I'm like, no,
right.
That's a fictional character. Here it is. I am real. So, yeah, but it's my real name. It's my dad's name.
I think it's super dope too, because you're like and I want to say epitome, but I mean this in the sincere and most humble and respectful way. When you say, like, I got the big hair, I'm 6 feet, right? You got great skin, great smile. You're like that fictitious character for real, because when you first see it, it's like, wow, she's tall. And you're thinking all these things. Does she play basketball? All these things. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, what's your name? And you're like, Jane Bond. And it's like, there's no way. There's no.
I get that all the time. And then I'll get and ask her name. And I'm like, okay, here we go. It's Jane Bond. And they go, oh, no, that's not real. And I go, yeah.
Right.
It's my real name. It's my family.
I love it. I mean, same thing with me, my whole life. Like, no matter where I've been, especially when you travel out of the country and it's like, Casanova, is Casanova really your name? You know who Casanova was? And I'm like, yes, it's really my name. It's on my birth certificate.
First name, Casanova. It's like, you know, first thing when you hear Casanova, you think of romance.
Right. Oh yeah. I all the time. So now, and it's funny because I gave it to my son. So now I got the ring and I gave it to my son. So I say he can live down that. But no, it's cool. So I definitely understand. Well, so I always love to start off the show by asking, or really what I do is I compare us as entrepreneurs to superheroes. And it's a great segue and transition. And the reason why I say that is because constantly we're flying around the world. I know you were, and you still are, you're putting on your cape and you're trying to solve some of the world's biggest problems. And a lot of the times what we know is whether it's Superman or Superwoman, we see that S on the chest, or even Wonder Woman, you see that W. But a lot of the times, what we don't know is behind the scenes, who is that Lois Lane, right? We can see on the outside, we see the Instagrams, we see the social media, everything else, but we don't see who that person is on the inside. So my question to you is, behind the scenes, what people don't see when they're looking at the news and they're seeing the $1 million listings and everything that you had on the backside, when it comes to Jane Bond, tell us, who is that Lois Lane?
Well, Jane Bond is someone that's passionate, has a lot of compassion for people and empathy, loves to. I'm not going to say I'm the realtor that will say to you, oh, I love to help people do this. I'm not that realtor. I'm the one that stands by my customer service. That's who makes me and my team who we are. I don't care if you're buying $100,000 house or a 20, 30, $40 million house. You're going to get the same exact service from us. And I think that's the differentiation between realtors and myself here. I never not have given someone that service. And everyone that knows me, I go, well, if you go to her, she's on top of it. Even when she closes, she's on top of you. Do you need anything? How do you need it? What do you, where are you going? Just a few minutes ago, before I spoke with you, I called one of my sellers and I said to her, I was just thinking about you and I wanted to know if you needed anything. I mean, we're clear to close. You don't have any worries. Your movers are going to be there. Anything you need from me. She was like, well, let me think. Is there anything I need from my realtor? I said, anything. If you want to go have a cup of coffee and talk about, your move and moving on with your life. And she was like, well, yeah, I would like to have lunch with you before all of this is done. And I said, okay, then that's what you need from me. I'll be there. And that was that. But we're good. We're clear to close. But I never forget about, after the fact, after the deal, because the deal can be a little stressful for some people. And my job is to make it stressless and handle every little intricate part to getting to that, close day and getting the ball over the net. My job is to get the ball over the net, negotiate that deal hands down, make sure they're happy with it, make sure they got exactly what they want, and peel that onion back before we even get started. And a lot of agents out here, and I think that's also a differentiator for me. A lot of agents out here are fearful of speaking to their customers, no matter what level they're on, about who they are and what they want to achieve, and being very straight and honest with them. If I walk into a house and I look at this house, even though it's a beautiful house, but it's cluttered, I'm like, we have to move everything out of here. We have to make sure this house is going to be someone else's dream house. You've lived in this house. This is not what somebody wants. They want to envision themselves in this house. So this is
Right.
what we have to do. I walk into the house and you have a big, beautiful Labrador, but I smell him, I'm going to share with you, we have to take care of that. I want to know, is your back up against the wall financially? How fast do we have to make this move? Do you have any outstanding debts or anything I should know about? I ask them hard questions all the time, because if I'm not going to understand how this is going to play itself out, we're going to have problems.
Right.
So I don't work for you. I work with you. We're partners on this deal. My job is to get this. You hire me for a reason, and that reason is to close this deal. And I always say, I'm the closer. I'm going to close the damn deal. I get the hard clients. I mean, even when I was working under, let's say, Compass or Sotheby's, I mean, I've worked for the Titans, Caldwell Banker, Keller Williams. These are my former brands that I've worked with before opening up my own brokerage. When I worked with them, it was not one thing that I didn't know about my customers. And every time I was sent or someone was sent to me to work with, it was always someone they said was difficult. And I would say, why are you guys sending me to difficult customers? They said, I don't know, it's something about you and your personality. You know how to make things smooth. You know how to deal with these customers. And I think I pride myself on that, from traveling, around the world, dealing with people from all walks of life, knowing how to understand or deduce their tone and what we would say. I would always say how to take myself out of equations to make things better for them Whereas though they're not
Right.
focused on me and everything I'm doing and what I'm saying, I'm taking care of everything for them. Because some agents, clients, or customers, we would say, they're on top of their agents. They want to control what is happening through the transaction, but it should be the other way around. The agent should control the transaction because they're the ones that's going to get the ball over the net for you. As long as you're happy with the number, we'll take care of the rest. And that's how it works. But I think for me, that is what I pride myself on, being able to deal with anyone from any walk of life, because I've been everywhere. And I've owned several businesses dealing with several people, from, A level to here. So, and everybody has their thing about them, where you deal with celebrities or sports people, or, self-made multimillionaires or self-made billionaires. I mean, I've dealt with them all. And pretty much people all the same. But what you do have to understand is when you deal with a high level customer or client, in our business we say customers. When you deal with a high level or ultra wealthy customer, you have to meet them there. And if you can't meet them there, you're going to have problems from the start because you're being judged from the day or the moment you step into their lives. So you better know what you're doing. You better know what you're talking about. Mostly analyticals are the high level people because they have surrounded themselves with people that are yes people and that get the job done. And if you can't get the job done, trust me, they're going to suss that out from the moment you step into their door. Across their they're going to suss that out. And depending on who you deal with, whether it's the wife, the husband, the girlfriend, the boyfriend, the mistress, or the grandmother, they can smell fear coming from the car. I walk through the door, I have no fear. I know exactly what I'm doing. I know exactly who I'm dealing with. I know them from the other side as opposed to knowing them just walking through their door. So I have dealt with so many different people at so many different levels. I have no fear dealing with people. To me, they're all the same. One just has more than the other or less than the other. And you decide how you're going to handle that person. So I think a lot of real estate agents, when they talk about breaking into the luxury market, it's not something you break into. You grow into that. Because if you don't know that type of client, you don't have that circle. And not that I always had that circle, but I've dealt with people because of the positions I've been in that I created for myself. No one gave me a position. I created these positions. I wanted to be an interior designer. I became an interior designer. I wanted to go after people that had disposable income. I knew who had disposable income. Football players, basketball players, judges, lawyers. They make a certain level of income a year. So those are the people you target. So it's like the mindset. You can't take on something and go, oh, what am I going to do? No, you have to think that through. And I'm one to putting it down on paper and making it come up off the paper and come alive. That's the only way I know how to do it. So
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So make sure that it's digestible. Here's what I heard, and I want to make sure that someone else hears this as well. So the first thing is for you, the moment that you get a client, whether they're brought to you or you seek out that client, you're one, trying to set the right expectation, right? Two, you make sure that your communication is on point, right?
Absolutely.
And then the last thing is, again, throughout the transaction, you're nurturing and you're focused on the relationship. So even once we get that CTC, right, clear to close for any real estate agent, that's that extra piece right there that 98% of agents are not doing. That last week saying, hey, I want to deliver you this great news, but here's what I also want to do. I want to grab coffee with you. I want to figure out where can I help you even further than the transaction, if that's something that you would love to do. I'm not pressuring you, but just letting you know that this means more to me than a commission. It's about really nurturing a relationship and focused on the long term of how you and I can continue to do business together and potentially even have any referrals or something like that. So that's what I heard. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that that's so valuable, because a lot of people, just like you said, when they get in, they're kind of half in it. They're like, how do I make it work? Well, if you focus on those three things right there, the moment that you get on a Zoom call with someone or a phone call with someone, whatever it is, you set the right expectation. The second thing, which I want you to dive into a little bit more, when you go into that communication and you say, hey, I know everything about not only my brokerage, whatever brokerage that I'm at, but I know quite a bit of things about the client or the customer as well. How does that research, play out for you? Like when you're dealing with somebody that's affluent or just anybody that's been referred to you, how do you go about doing your due diligence so you have things in your arsenal when you first have that conversation with them?
My arsenal is already full. I'm already coming there with that pull. I got that bag already full. As far as doing the research, I mean, Google is our friend. You Google that person, you look to see where they came from, who they were. That's how I got one of my biggest listings, which was a $10 million listing. I had his phone number. I called him several times. He hung up on me. So I started researching who this guy really was and found out that his business was recruiting. And I knew that he would be looking for the best of the best because of his company.
Yeah.
And I wrote him a letter. And I found out, I kept digging, and it took me 2 weeks to write that letter. And I kept digging, and I found someone in his office where he had retired, but I found his longtime assistant who was still working for him. And I spoke to her, and I said, I want to get this letter to this gentleman. Is it any way you can get this to him for me? And she said, if you send it to me, I will definitely get it to him. Never knew he got it until I got the listing. And he shared with me, he said, I wasn't going to meet with you, young lady. He said, but once I spoke to you over the phone, you caught me on a day that I was in a good mood. And you had called me so many times, your persistence paid off. He said, and then when you shared with me what you had for me, other than calling me saying you could list my property, I wanted to hear it. And then when you showed up, I was so impressed. He said, I remember when I showed up, he kept looking at me and he says, I love the way you carry yourself. And of course, he was a New Yorker, so that was even better.
Yeah.
New Yorker in Philadelphia. And I was so enthusiastic about selling his property. And I always share with agents, you have to be enthusiastic about selling their property. You just can't go in there and just want the deal, want the listing. The listing, you have listings, you're the king or the queen of the market. That's what it's about, having the listing. Then everybody else works for you. So I remember him saying to me, I like what you're talking about. I like your enthusiasm. I like your energy. Where do I sign? Like that, I had a $10 million listing. And I had done my research, and he said, I want you to know I did receive your letter. And I didn't know he received that letter. It took me quite some time to actually write that letter to him and share with him what I thought about his property and why it sat there. And
So was how long did this property sit on the market? Like when someone's looking to break into luxury, right? And they don't already have the circle of people that are affluent, no matter where you are, does it look like just figuring out what are the properties that have expired or canceled and then going, writing letters to them? Or how does someone even go about finding a $10 million listing?
Well, it's all public record. I mean, if you're an agent, you have the MLS. You can go and see what's expired or what's pending or what's active. So when you see the expireds, you just kind of go and look and see what's expired every day. And, a lot of agents don't look at their stats every day. Some of them don't even know to do that. And then you have a system. What we do, we prospect. So you prospect that person or you cherry pick your price point of whatever you're looking at. But even if you cherry pick your price point, you better best believe if you get that appointment, you better know what you're doing and know what you're talking about. Because again, you're working with affluent people that have people around them, experts that know what they're doing, that are at the top of their game. So you can't go in there and not be at the top of your game, because guess what? The agent that's behind you waiting for that appointment, they're probably at the top of their game. And they're probably coming with a track record. And that's why I say it's so important to grow into the luxury market. I grew into the luxury market. I didn't break into it. You know, I remember selling properties at 130 something thousand dollars and still doing the same thing, not understanding what I was doing. You know, I was like a hamster, you know, on a wheel, not understanding how the business worked until I understood how the business worked. And it took me about 4 years before the light bulb came on. And once that light bulb came on, I just went full speed ahead. And not only that, you know, you can get lucky. You're a new agent and you get lucky. Somebody throw you a bone. Next thing you know, you're selling a $2 million house and you're collecting, you know, a 60 something thousand-dollar check or less, depending on what your split is. But can you do it over and over again?
Right.
That's the key. Can you do this over and over again? And I think that's pretty much what I'm known for as an African American female in my town, which is Naples, Florida, which there's really nobody here that looks like me doing the same thing that I'm doing and at my level. So once I realized that it was, to me, it was my job to get the word out. I didn't see anybody that looked like me at this level anywhere, doing it consistently. And not that I did it consistently from the beginning. It took me time. It took me, you know, like I said, 4 or 5 years. I had to get a coach and understand what it meant to really be a listing agent as opposed to a buyer agent. Because most agents, when we start out, the first thing we do is we become buyer's agents.
Right.
We drive around buyers, and what you actually are is a taxi cab driver. Because if you haven't qualified that buyer, you know nothing about them, all of a sudden you have a buyer and they want to buy a $500,000 house, but that's all you know, they might go and pull the trigger with somebody else. You know, and that's why it's necessary to have your arm, you know, be armed with your resources. And that's another thing about working with affluent clients. You have to have resources. They like inexpensive money too. Do you have any wealth managers? You know, who are your media partners? All of these things matter because as a listing agent, you become a marketeer. You have to be able to market their property. They're going to ask you, what are the rates today? What can I do? Do you know anybody that could do hard money for us? These are the kind of things that you deal with them. Do you know any, you know, body that can take care of my home, my $10 million home when I'm away? Do you have any estate managers? Do you have any domestic insurance? Do you have any insurance companies that insure domestics? All of these questions are so important to people that have a lot of money because that's what they're used to. Which private airline is here? Where can I park my private jet? Do you know anything about us putting our yacht here? Do you know, can they accommodate that? If you're at that level, you need to know all those things, or you need to have people. Can I sell my house through an auction, which would get my house sold faster? And see, some agents think that, oh, if they sell that house in the auction, it's cheap. Well, no. That's just time. Time is of the essence for some people. Maybe they want to auction their house. They might get more. And not only that, they're going to get qualified buyers that are coming through the door for the price that you put out there. And then they're going to auction it. So it could either climb or it could stay at one level. So all of those things are so important when you're a agent at that level. And I don't want to say luxury agent because luxury comes at all different levels. You know, luxury is an experience. It's not a price.
Ooh,
no.
Love it.
When agents think, you know, the word luxury has been so overly used. I'm a luxury agent. What does that mean? Do you ever ask yourself, what does that mean? You sell luxury properties? Well, a luxury property could be $300,000. It's like you said, in Nebraska, our price point is $187,000. And people say, well, what if I don't have, you know, $1 million property in my market? I say, eat from the fillet that you are in, which is the steak comes in different pieces, right? Eat the fillet of your market. And we have to eat what we kill, basically. So if you're a hunter, I mean, I feel like as a listing agent, we're the huntress. We go out there and we hunt.
Right.
Right?
Facts. No, it's
eat what you kill.
Oh, there's so many gems and nuggets. I'm sure somebody right now is smiling, and somebody right now is like, "Oh man, I gotta stay connected with her." Here's what I want to ask you. The first thing is, now knowing what you know, and you sold properties at every different price point and multiple markets. Knowing what you know now, are you recommending many agents, if they can, that they grow into the luxury market to start out, or do you think that there's levels to it, and you should be just focusing on maybe getting that 300 to 500,000, get your feet wet. What's your take on that?
See, that's golden what you just said. Agents, start where you are, and you can't do anything but grow. But if your volume is 500,000 or 300,000, and you're popping five, six, seven of those a month, you're good, because these big properties, it could take a year. So can you imagine, you have a property on the market, like one of my biggest properties sat on the market for about a year and 2 months. And let me set the scene for you. So I have a property, a $20 million property is sitting on the market. Okay. Not everybody has $20 million in their pocket walking
Right.
around. So my target is only but so big, so I got to keep that property on the market. That means marketing that property as long as I can. And hopefully, I sell that property before my listing expires with the seller, and the seller thinks she's not doing enough or
Yeah.
something's not right. I'm not going to reduce my price because my property is worth that. So can you imagine? You're sweating bullets. You're putting out $50,000 in marketing. You can only do but so much marketing before you start recycling it, correct?
Right.
You can only market to so many different people, $20 million. So being under the gun for a property like that is no joke. So everybody cannot be a listing agent because it costs you to be a listing agent. That's what agents don't understand, and that's why you do become a buyer's agent until you can make that money to become a listing agent, because you have to keep that property on the market. Not that your company is going to give you marketing dollars. You have to have those marketing dollars to shepherd that property to the end. So if you don't have that kind of money in your team or as an agent, you're in trouble.
Right.
Because guess what? If you don't sell that property and the next agent gets it, you've done all the heavy lifting.
Right.
They come
Facts.
along and all of a sudden I got the money. And that property we sold cash, closed 10 days. Those properties sell for cash. I
Hmm.
haven't had a finance deal. I would say I might have had maybe 3 to 5 financing deals in my entire career here in Naples. Everything has been cash closed, quick, no matter what it is. A million, 5, 10, 7, 8, 20, doesn't matter. Cash closed in 10 days.
Wow.
Love.
So let me ask, when you are, because just like you said, and I think anybody who has been in real estate for a number of years, you understand that yes, it does it costs to play, right? It's a pay to play game when you are a listing agent. I think you said that beautifully. Like, to be a listing agent, you got to have some type of budget behind you. So
Mark,
when you're first starting out, and you say, okay, I got an opportunity here through a friend of a friend, and I could potentially get, no matter what my market is, let's say it's 1.5 million, right? If the advertised price is 300,000 or 400, and you got something that's like 1.5 million, and you say, but I don't have the budget to right now put out $10,000 on marketing. Have there been any ways that you've recommended for agents to maybe be creative and creating like MSAs or something? Like, what would someone do? Because if I don't have this, I can't go get drones and
right.
everything else to market this. What would you recommend that I do to at least get started off on the right track, and hopefully see some traction in the seller's eyes to where they say, hey, he or she is doing enough, at least for right now?
Well, what I used to do is if there was a big listing I had my eyes on, and I was a younger agent at the time, I would bring in a more experienced agent to co-list that with me and utilize their marketing dollars, because more than likely they have a marketing budget. I always say
Got
something
it.
is better than nothing, because if you can't do it, guess what? That found money is gone. So why not partner with someone, a bigger agent that has the marketing budget, has the name, and fly with that? But you have to be equipped enough to negotiate with that bigger agent because that bigger agent is a little more savvy than you. So
Right.
definitely you want your name there. You might be in second place, but so what? When that check comes, you're in first place. You
Right.
get your check cut to you. So, and I also tell my agents, like my newer agents, I say, listen, if you go out there and you come upon someone that wants you to list their property and they ask you what your track record is, share with them. Your track record is your company. Bring your company on board with that. Or say, I was instrumental in selling this property that you're showing them. You have to be creative in the market because as long as you have a team to back you up or you have me to back you up, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to win the deal. I'm going to close
Mm.
that deal because I know what it takes to close the deal. I understand the marketing. And let me digress a little bit about that. When you asked me about where agents should start, and I say start where you are. However, if you're selling volume, I'm talking $300,000 to $500,000 properties, you could do just as well as someone that's selling $1 million properties because, like I said, those properties stay on the market, and you're flipping burgers, so to speak. You're flipping
Right.
your $500,000 and $300,000 and $400,000 properties every month. If you do the math on that, you could be doing better than that person because better than that luxury agent that you want to be so badly because the person that's selling 500,000 and they're flipping those properties 6 and 7 and 8 a month, you do the math. They're doing just as well as this. I mean, I know a young kid here. He's about 29 years old. He did maybe 83 million, and his price point is 3 to 600,000,
Hmm.
and he stays the course. He's
Right.
very consistent at that. So, and when you think about, he's doing $83 million a year. Do the math. I mean, I can do the math. You do the math. He's
Right.
killing it. He's almost making $1 million himself.
Right.
Gross, but still, 29 years old.
Yeah.
I was 29.
Yeah. Most people would take it.
Yeah. So, I say pull someone into the deal that can help you close it because you can't sell it if you don't have it.
Hmm. No, so much nuggets and wisdom there for all of what you've learned now, right? You're so much wiser. I don't think anybody would disagree on that. And you have so much knowledge to give to someone else, just like myself, that's younger, that's coming up, and you feel like, wow, there's so much more to learn. Knowing what you know now, I always love to ask the question: if there was one thing that you wish that you would have implemented sooner to accelerate your path on your goal and your dream to where you are today, what would that one thing be?
A coach,
Coach.
having a coach.
At what point did you get your first coach?
That was the
Like at what?
mark. That's when my business turned around for me.
It was the first year. Is that what you said?
My 4 year mark.
4 year mark.
I was in
Got
the
it.
business 4 years when I realized I can't do this by myself. The best athletes in the world have coaches. Oprah has 3. Oprah's a kabillionaire and she has 3 coaches.
Right.
Jane Bond needs a coach.
Right.
I can tell you my story. I couldn't afford a coach. Like the market had just crashed. I had a home in Philadelphia. I had an apartment in New York. I mean, I was living a life going back and forth. I was an entertainment manager, spending money, traveling around the world, and the market crashed. And when the market crashed, it crashed for everything and everybody. It crashed for the entertainment industry. It crashed for the housing market. We had a housing crisis. Today, people think we have a housing crisis. No, we have a health crisis. And the housing market is on fire because of the health crisis, because of fear. And the fear is because they don't want to be trapped the way they were. They want to have space. Everybody understands that we need space now. We have to breathe. We don't even want the open floor plan anymore. We want to be able to hide in rooms from each other. So,
Right.
it's really interesting how everything turns. So if I had to do it all over again, I would have a coach from day one and I would find
From
him
day one. Wow.
as a
I
coach.
think for so many people, I love that you said that, and I think this is very, very vital right now because a lot of people, they are looking to get to that next level, and there's so much uncertainty, not only in the real estate market but in the business world. People want to try out different things, and information is no longer scarce. Now it's about the action and staying the course, like you said a little bit earlier. And so people look at it and they think that they, want to coach, but I emphasize on think because I don't think that they're really sure. And when I look at this, because I have a lot of friends and we do masterminding and things together. For you, how did you decide on who was the right coach for you?
That was interesting. I never even thought about a coach. You know, it came. It was a surprise to me how it happened. Like I said, I was chasing my tail. I was running, like on a hamster wheel. I didn't know how to list property. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't even know that it was the buyer and the listing agent. And I had been in business for years. I was an entertainment manager, interior designer, but every business is different. Conquering and being able to become successful in every business is a different route. And until you learn that route or you have that GPS, you know nothing.
Right.
So I was in the business for 4 years. I didn't understand why I couldn't move forward or I was like other agents. I want to be that agent. I want to, wow, how are they doing that? And I would walk into my office, which was at Sotheby's. I was with Keller Williams for 18 months and I sold volume. I sold $100 and something thousand properties, but I sold a lot of volume, so I won the Rookie of the Year. And
Love it.
the interesting part is I got a phone call and it was about a trailer. Somebody was selling a trailer. And I had never been in a trailer. I didn't know anything about trailer parks. I'm from Philadelphia, I live in New York City. Those are big cities. We don't have trailer parks. And someone called me and said, they were explaining to me what they wanted to sell. And they said, I don't understand why my property isn't selling. It's a double wide. And I was like, double wide? Oh, what's that? So this is a call that came to me from the desk. And because they would give you some referrals that would come through the office. And I was like, what is a double wide? So I got back on, I said, excuse me. And I got off the phone, came back. And I said, I'm sorry, sir, I don't understand that term. What's that term? He said, I have a double wide trailer. I was like, oh, no, I won't be selling that. I remember, and forgive me, I don't want to offend anybody. I put the phone down and I never picked up the phone again. And I thought, I will not be in this business selling double wide trailers. That's not the trajectory here. So at that point, I went to Sotheby's. So 18 months in my career, I went to Sotheby's. And Sotheby's, which was interesting, was, is the grand dam of the business. I mean, they have wealthy clients built in because of their auction house. So Sotheby's, if you know the history of Sotheby's has been around for over 100 years. They had the wealth of the world because they were auctioning off, beautiful emerald diamonds, emeralds, all kinds of precious stones, rugs, artwork, the Mona Lisa, or whatever it may be. They are auctioning it off, and those people were their customers. So when Sotheby's decided to open up their real estate arm, they already had those wealthy customers. So when you see Sotheby's sign, trust me, those people, they know it's the brand. So I wanted to be with the brand. And I dove in head first and, drank the whole pool and realized I'm with Sotheby's. So when I would meet other agents and I would say I was with Sotheby's, they were a little intimidated because that's an amazing brand. And here it is. I'll never forget the first time I went to one of the meetings. I was the only African American in the room of 300 people, and I couldn't believe it. I looked around and went, oh my God, I'm the only one here? Wow. So cut through the chase, Sotheby's, my office was on the second floor, and I would walk by these two boards every day, and one said listings and one said sales. And I would see the same usual suspects up there all the time. And all I could think about is, how can I get my name on both sides of those boards every month? There were agents making $600,000 a month. I was counting the money because you know the math. You count the money.
Right.
Oh my gosh, she sold a $20 million property and she got both sides. How is that possible? What am I doing wrong? So A mortgage woman called me. I had become friends with a mortgage lady, and she called me and she said, I think you need to go to the seminar. And I went to the seminar, and it was this guy there, and he was talking to us and talking at us, and I was just like, okay, this is somebody else that wants some money. I'm talking, this is 2011. So the market is still bad. I mean, everybody's still having a hard time,
Right.
mortgages and ripping copper and everything out of the houses, painting on the walls. The whole world, the country is mad, about the housing market. So I go to the seminar. This guy is talking, kind of handsome, older gentleman, looks great, in your face, and I just dismissed it. It was a seminar I went to. Fast forward 2 years later, I go to a seminar again, and he's there. And now I'm sitting in the front row, and he's talking directly to me. He's like, so what's your name, young lady? And I'm like, okay, here we go again. So leave the seminar, like what he's saying, and I'm just like, wow, this guy is so in your face. He must be really good. And I go to this birthday party for my broker, maybe a month later, and this one agent is there who I'm really good friends with, and she works at Sotheby's with me, and I see her name on the board, and I said to her, after a couple of drinks, I said, I met this guy, I went to this seminar, and he said, I can make $1 million a year. And I said, his name is so-and-so, and what do you think? And she was like, well, yeah, I make $1 million a year, or close to it, and I'm on track to make $1 million this year. And she wasn't lying, because I will see her name on the board. And she said, he's my coach. I said, he's your coach? I said, wait a minute, that's how you're doing this? And she goes, yeah. I said, I'm signing up tomorrow. So 2 years have passed by. I'm going through all these different things. My mom is not well, all these things has happened in my life. And I go and get this coach. So I don't get him. I get one of his coaches in his group. And the coach that I got was amazing. I remember him sending me his resume and me looking at everything he's done. I went, oh shit, I'm not going to be able to give this guy any of my BS. I have to do everything he said. And I remember looking at everything. I couldn't wait. I was so anxious. I just couldn't wait, because I used my last money, which wasn't even my money. It was the credit card, to pay for this. And it was like $13,000, $14,000, I believe, at the time. Maybe $1,000 some odd dollars a month. And I had to show up.
Right.
Right. Because, some people, they get coaches, they don't show up. I'm a coach. Some of my people don't even show up. I don't even understand how they pay and don't show up. That doesn't make sense to me. And it's because they haven't really committed to what they said they wanted to do. Right. But once I committed to this guy, I had no other choice, because of the circumstances that were on my shoulders and on my back at the time. It was either do or die. And I did. I didn't look back 1 minute. I did everything he said to do, how he said to do it, when he said to do it. I was consistent. I did follow up. Everything. I was never so tired in my life. And I'm a grown woman at this point. I had businesses. I had success. But the market crashed, and it took a lot of people down with them, because the advertising business stopped. The music business stopped. I was an entertainment manager at the time, traveling the world with my people, and all of that stopped. You didn't even see ads on TV. No one had money to do anything with. So all I could do was what he was telling me to do. And when I did, and I'll tell you, 90 to 120 days after I got started, my business turned around. And I saw it turning, and the fire was there. And trust me, I was running through that fire, getting it done. And once I realized that I could do it, and I knew how to do it, there was no stopping me. So it started happening like that. I went from $135,000 agent to $10 million, $7 million, $8 million, $5 million, $2 million. Every deal I had was $1 million something. And not to say the smaller deals, I was taking them too, because that was filling my pipeline. Keep the pipeline moving. I had enough money to do whatever I wanted to do, and also market these properties and present myself that way. And coming from the film and TV industry, I knew that video was coming into play with a lot of things. So I was one of the first agents to really do an amazing video and walk through a 12,000 square foot condo and share with them what something like that looks like and knowing what it took to put that place together. And that one video took my career to another level. But that client also took my career to another level because it was just a little bit different. That client had more control where I hadn't played at that level and didn't understand. They scrutinized and wanted to know every move I was making to sell that property because they were in real estate also. They wanted to see the photography. They wanted to approve the photographer. They wanted to know who my partners were. They wanted to know, even when I was catering, who I was using for catering. They wanted to know what cars I was going to use when I did the video because everything had to flow. So
Right.
I was prepared. I was prepared when I got there. And that's what's important. And I always tell agents, when you show up, you have to show up properly. You're going to show up to, a $5 million customer or $10 million home. You better look like you're successful.
Right.
Not
Facts.
everybody can do that. And not everybody knows what that looks like. Because
Oh, I love it.
I see certain agents and I'm shocked. And they're asking me, and this industry has blown up to the point that everybody wants to be a real estate agent now.
Right.
But
Facts.
everybody can't be the agent they want to be. It takes time, it takes understanding, it takes knowing who that customer is, you want to service, because we're in the customer service business. If you don't understand that we're in the customer service business, then you're not in the right business. Customer service means everything to these people at that
Everything.
level because they can pay for it. So if you're not going to deliver, they're looking for the person that will deliver. If you show up looking like you are about to go out and party as opposed to sit down and have a discussion about selling their $5 million property, they're going to look at you like, "What? Thank you. We'll get back to you," and never get
Right.
back to you. I mean, my biggest deal, I remember, I never met my customer until I had the event at the property. I didn't even know who she was. I was dealing with the liaison and thinking the liaison was the customer. And when I saw when I actually asked her, I said, "Oh, so I'm so excited to be here and see your property." She says, "Oh, no, I'm not the owner. I'm the liaison." I went, "Oh, shit. I'm dealing with the liaison." I never dealt with the liaison. So that was another level for me. That was really interesting. And they were not Americans. And all of that was a real experience for me. And when I say a luxury experience, that was a luxury experience. And that's why I say luxury is about the experience you give to people. I have the luxury of being here with you today, Casanova. And this is my experience that I'm having with you. And I try to tell people, you don't put a price tag on luxury because luxury doesn't mean money. It means an experience. And if you can afford to give people that experience they are looking for, and they are going to pay you handsomely for that, you better come ready. And that's just all to it. You can't come there. I always tell women or agents, female agents, there's a big difference between Louis Vuitton and Louis Vuitton. There's a big difference between that red bottom and Louis Vuitton. I mean, everybody knows, and I tell agents too, don't break the bank trying to be who you're not or what you can't afford. The basics work. Just put the basics together the right way.
I love it. I love it. Let me ask, knowing what you know now, who inspires you still? Because you could definitely tell when you speak with such elegance and confidence. But is there anybody that now, and you've worked with such, like you said when we started out, millionaires and even billionaires and self-made people who obviously, depending on if you look at the DISC assessment or strength finders, things like that, you can kind of tell what type of personalities that you're dealing with, and you have to be able to adapt accordingly.
Exactly.
So for you, is there anybody who still inspires you, or is there any time that you still go on these appointments that you still get nervous?
No, I'm never nervous. It's just, to me, it's a conversation, and it's a conversation about what we need to do to get you to your next, life or move on to the other place you want to be. I'm
So you're
never.
just in there to solve. But I would say, even doctors, right? You know what you're prepared. You've done brain surgery before, open heart surgery, but still in all, every time you cut someone open, there's those kind of nerves, there's those jitters because you want to perform. So I would push back a little bit and say you never even, you don't get a little bit of jitters and say I got to perform. I got to be Jane Bond, right? Because there's a standard now. When someone else is excited to meet Jane Bond when they come through that door, they're like, I've heard about her, I've seen her.
That makes me a little nervous when someone has this huge thing about me, and to me, I'm just Jane, and I'm always taken aback by that. To be honest with you, or when I pick up the phone and it's an agent, and they go, "Oh my God, you answered the phone!" I'm like,
Right.
I'm going to answer the phone. If I don't know what's going. I need to answer the phone. Um, who inspires me? Well, I guess because I'm an investor now, and I invest in Chicago, South Side,
Yeah.
which is interesting. Yeah, I love it, love it, love it. Love the buildings. It reminds me of New York City. I don't know who inspires. I guess Oprah still inspires me.
Oprah.
When I think about Oprah, when I think about like Grant Cardone, I think about him because he's so in your face and he's doing what he's doing. But I have to be careful with that too. But the people that are really rocking it, and I just think, okay, I'm coming, I'm coming. But no, I don't get nervous on listing appointments. There's no
I
need
love it.
to. Because at some time and point, people are people. And if you
Right.
know what you're doing, you know your stuff, you know what you have to offer, that value add. There's no need to be nervous. They're either going to like you because people like you. People that do business with you are people that like you,
Right.
and then they
Facts.
want to do business with you if your acumen is there. So no, no, I don't get nervous. I don't get
All right, I
I
respect
don't
it. I respect it, and I think somebody else listening,
yeah,
they could hear it too. They're like, "Yo, she's serious.
yeah,
She doesn't."
I know
But just like you said, it comes in the prepreparation. The confidence comes from the preparation.
absolutely.
You've been doing it. You've stayed the course,
Yeah,
and I think that's why there's no reason to be nervous for you.
yeah. Your confidence grows as you experience things in life. There's not too many things that I have. People ask me, "Do you have a bucket list?" I said, "Yeah, I want to go to Shanghai." I mean, other than that, I've been there, skydived. I mean, I don't know what else to do. I mean, to be honest
Right.
with you, there is no bucket list really right now. I pretty much buy a dog, buy a French bulldog, pretty much. But
Okay.
no, I don't have any fear as far as talking or being in anybody's company. I wouldn't be. No, I'm trying to think as we're speaking.
Yeah.
No,
And that's okay.
no,
And I think that someone else, right? What the takeaway that you can get from this is again, just those tangible things of staying the course,
yeah,
being prepared. The first time it's not going to be perfect,
no,
but being prepared to invest into yourself. Maybe that looks like for you, wherever your business is right now, going to get a coach, even if you're day one, right? That was one of the takeaways. Hey, I would have had a coach sooner. And so all of these things, if you stay the course 18 months from now, right? Because real estate, there's nothing about real estate, no matter what level that you're at, that's instant gratification,
no,
right? There's nothing. It all takes time,
no.
right? And even if you say, oh, I got cash deals, right? Most likely those still take a couple. People got to do their due diligence with the contractors, with other things. They may be moving the money around on their wealth side, right? To be able to make sure that they can fund it. So it's nothing about instant gratification. So for you, you got to be focused, like you said earlier, focused on that destination and understanding that sometimes directions can change. But if you stay the course, in the end, you'll have whatever the life is that you desire and that you're designing for yourself and your family.
And also, like you said, once you're engrossed in this business and you know what you're doing and you're making money, it's time for you to turn the tables and start buying the real estate for yourself to
Hmm.
create generational wealth.
Facts.
Or hopefully, if you have a family, you're having that conversation on financial literacy and really understanding what it means to build wealth. And I only know pretty much one way to build wealth, and that's definitely real estate. You
Right.
can get your hands on some real estate, especially an income producing property. That's going to produce every year for you. I don't care if it's a little bit of money. You got to put it somewhere. Don't put it in the bank because they're going to use it and make more money for themselves. Why not you make money for yourself? I don't care if it's 50, 30, $100,000. And if you don't have enough, find someone that will go in with you that you trust to start building wealth from some stage of your career. Do not be in this career for years and have nothing. That's a no-no. But, I say, if you're going to be in this business, you have to stay consistent. You have to stay, flowing with the business. You have to understand what this business means, understand your market. If you don't know your market, you don't know your business. So, and also dealing with these customers, you need to be able to pivot or shift when you have certain customers in your company. And you need to know that you got to close the deal no matter what.
Right.
And initially when I first started going out on doing presentations, that's your fear, when you're a listing agent, when you go to someone's home and you have to present. And some agents, they think they have to do this whole, presentation. You tell them about the company, you tell them about yourself, but you tell them what you're going to do for them. That's the goal. They want to know, how are you going to get this house sold? Okay, I know about you, I know about your track record, and I know about your little company. Whether it's Sotheby's, Compass, Keller Williams, Coldwell Banker, it doesn't matter. They already know who they are. They want to know who you are and what you're going to do. And when you tell them what you're going to do, which is your plan of action, you better do it to the letter. Because if you don't, they're going to call you out on it.
Right.
So you can't go in there not knowing what you're saying or not being able to do what you promised them to do. And that's what you call customer service. Because your customer service, you have to stand behind that. And if anything goes down that you screw up, guess who they're coming back on? You.
Right.
And that's your license that could be at jeopardy, or you could be sued. So you have to know your business. So a lot of things, and it's also, when you're an adult, you got to know something about business. And the young people that are getting in real estate, it takes time. You have to have lived also. Think about it. You're a 24-year-old guy or a 23-year-old girl, just out of college. You got a finance degree. You're smart. You've done well in school and you did well with the grades and everything. But now you're actually going to exercise what you've learned, right?
Right.
If you don't know it, how can you do it? How can you?
Facts.
And here it is, you get the chance of a lifetime and you're sitting in front of a $10 million seller. And you don't know what to say.
Right.
You don't know what to do.
You better have a good coach, or you better have that mentor that's coming along, that's co-listening with you.
Along with you. Or you don't even know how to have a conversation with them about life. So you want this man or this woman to entrust you with their $10 million asset, which is probably the largest asset they will ever purchase in their lives. Trust you, who has no experience, never sold anything near that. And you might get lucky because you might have somebody that's gung-ho and say, I'm going to give this young man a shot. But if you screw it up, right?
Right.
So that's so important to know your business and understand that, and I feel young agents, they want to come out and they really want to do it. And of course they do. But the best thing about this business is to grow into it. Because once you grow into it, nobody can take it away from you. Nobody can tell you you don't know your business. If you really want to do well at this business, grow into it. It's not like it's going to give you anything. Nobody gave me anything, And the reason I can sit here and speak this way and keep myself poised this way is because it's experience. It's years of experience, a culmination of everything I've done in my life that brought me here.
I love it. This has been a phenomenal conversation. I'm sure somebody right now, they're super inspired, not only me. And they want to blaze a path similar to what you've done, and they're willing to grow into it. They're willing to invest into themselves, but they still have that little voice in their head. And we all have it at time to time. And sometimes it's longer time frames than other, but that little voice says that they're not strong enough, they're not smart enough, or maybe they just don't have enough resources. What's the one thing that you would leave that person with to get them to just take action?
Trust in yourself. You got to believe in yourself. You got to know that you can do this. You got to step out there into the fire. Because if not, how will you know? Those are the
How
regrets.
we know.
If you want to do something, do it. Just do it. Because the
Hmm.
only thing that could happen is either you can fail or you can go up. And even if you
Right.
do fail, that's an experience that you had to go through to get back up, pull your bootstraps up, and go back out there and kick some ass. Because if
Right.
you don't, you're never going to know. Anything I ever thought I wanted to do, I did.
Hmm.
If it didn't happen, I did the next thing that I wanted to do. So the reason I've had several careers in my life is because I wanted to. I wanted to experience that. I wanted to be those people, that Jane Bond in that capacity. And I loved every second of it. It was hard work. And like I always tell people, you see this person, but the person, that's at home crying sometimes saying, oh my God, did I do the right thing? Did I do this? I'm that person too. When I get in front of people, no, I don't have fear, but do I have some doubts of, did I get it? Did I didn't? Because I know there are people out there that are just as good as I am. But I always say, may the best man win, because I'm coming back. You've not.
With a vengeance.
I'm coming back. So,
I love it.
it's you have to believe in yourself. The only person that can make this happen for you is you. You can have a coach, you can have a lot of money, but if you don't put that massive action behind what you do, it's not going to happen. It's all about being proactive to what you want in your life and just keep moving forward and making sure you can do this. Nobody can, that person here and that person there is always going to be there. You're always going to have that struggle. That's just who we are as people, humans, having a little bit of doubt. You got to be strong
Love
enough
it.
to knock that doubt off your shoulder and just do it.
Just do it. Just like Nike.
Just do
I love it. We are going to make sure we put all of the links, especially to your new book, in the show notes. But for anybody who wants to stay connected with you, where can they find you at?
Instagram. I'm on the gram like
Instagram.
everybody else at Jane Bond underscore underscore underscore.
There you go. That just shows you how many people are out there. I guess in a sense you could say impersonating, but I know you said that there are other Jane Bonds out there. But the official we're watching right now. And like I said, we will put the links in the show notes. This has been a phenomenal conversation. And my sister, I want to be the first one, if no one else tells you today, to say thank you and I
Oh,
appreciate you.
absolutely,
And
yes.
just as she said, Dream Nation, if you are having any type of desire to go out and create a life by your design, you got to remember, just do it.
Just do
Just
it.
take action.
Just
Because that dream that you have, without just doing it or taking action on it and going through so you can grow through it, right? Then that will only merely be a fantasy. So that's what you got to do. And remember, in the dream we trust, but we got to take that action. That's all for this one. We'll catch you on the
Can
next
I
one.
say one thing? I
Absolutely.
just want to say, I want to say to everybody that has been so good to me as far as this book is concerned. You guys have received this book so well out there. It's not a textbook. It's a book about inspiration. It's a lot of information, but it's a conversation about my journey. And you guys have made me feel amazing by reading this book and posting this book. And please just continue, because I want this story to reach so many people, because it's so important and very powerful to the agent that will read it. Just know that it's not a textbook. We don't have fluff in here. I'm to the point. I tell you exactly how it is and how to do it. And again, thank you for receiving this book. You guys have been amazing. And that's
Absolutely. Well, we look forward to helping you to get the word out there. So more agents, whether you're looking for luxury or not, remember it's all about the experience. So I'm sure phenomenal experience that you'll be able to give your clients once you read it. So I'm excited. Again, this has been a phenomenal conversation, and so thank you very much, my
no,
sister.
thank you. Thank you.
If you've gotten anything out of this episode, do me a favor and head on over to iTunes if you have access and leave me a review. My whole goal is to make sure that I'm serving you all the right way. You're my tribe, you're who I care about, you're why I do this. So if you want to give me any type of thanks, or if you want to let me know whatever your thoughts or your feelings are from this episode or any other episode that you've listened to, leave me a rating or review. And also, if you're looking for more tips, strategies, and even resources when it comes to leveling up your real estate game, head on over to DreamNationAcademy.com. We have a really cool real estate section there, and it's something that I wish that I would have had when I first got started in real estate. So that's DreamNationAcademy.com. Don't wait. I'll see you on the other side.